Business and Professional Communication, Chapter 13, Informative, Persuasive, and Special Presentation. Describe some of the strategies to enhance the effectiveness of a persuasive message. Describe how developing leadership skills are important to developing persuasive skills. And describe communication strategies for making special speaking presentations. There are many kinds of informative speaking: briefings, reports, public relations, and trainings, just to name a few. Then there are persuasive presentations, sales pitches, interviews, and so on. There are many methods to record and deliver briefings. When you present briefings, they are simply short summaries of information, usually lasting 5 to 15 minutes. The format of a briefing is that there is no extended or formal introduction. It is topical or chronological in order, and the delivery style depends on the audience. Your government officials give many briefings. You have seen briefings on the news from the police departments when an event occurs. These are common and often short, frequently followed by questions. The next kind of informational speech is a report. A report is a detailed summary of past, present, or future events. It is longer than briefings. The objective of a report is to communicate information or policy, to address problems and present solutions, to persuade the audience to try a new course of action. These happen more in the business world than do briefings. They generally involve data which should be explained in ways that everyone in the audience can understand. The next style of informational speaking are public relational presentations. They promote a positive public image of the organization or person being represented. They address concerns raised by a particular situation, one that often made the news. Topics to include would be a description of the virtues of the organization or the policy, an acknowledgement of the concerns that prompted the speech, solutions to the problem, an acknowledgement of the listener's point of view. There will often be a time for questions, and it is important to be prepared and anticipate those questions so you can formulate a response. The next type of informational speaking are training sessions. Training is an important part of any organization, from when new employees begin to be acculturated to the organization to ongoing new programs. Often they are used to develop special skills in the listeners for performing a specific task or job, to implement behavioral change, to persuade or motivate listeners to perform the task being taught, or to provide information. You should use the needs-centered model, which helps trainers understand the learning needs of the trainees. When it comes to persuasion, it is important to understand that much of what you do in life is persuading others to come around to your point of view. Where do you want to eat lunch? Should they hire you? Are your ideas the ones to act upon? You'll find that a lot of life is persuasion. One of the first components of a persuasive message is the development of cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is asking the listener to hold two competing thoughts in their mind that absolutely do not coexist well, so that they may choose one which would be your action or what you are trying to persuade them to do. It makes the person uncomfortable, and this will prompt behavioral changes. Another principle of persuasion is responding to the need of the listener. Persuasion by identifying the listener's needs and then convince them to meet those needs is useful techniques. It prompts the person to take a course of action. You can use fear as a motivator. It usually takes the form of an if-then statement. The problem with using fear as a motivator is that it is only motivating as long as what is feared is present. Another method to persuasion are positive messages. Responses to positive messages tend to be generally received well. Persuasion is key in using a positive motivational approach. It is to know what the listeners value. Another component in a good persuasive message is speaker credibility. Credibility is the listener's perception of the speaker, and it is based on the factors of competence, trustworthiness, and dynamism. The more credible the speaker, the more chances of persuading the audience. A vital component of persuasion strategy is using logical arguments. Providing logical proof for arguments is useful in influencing the audience. Proof consists of both evidence and conclusion. Evidence comprises the supporting material for one's argument, and conclusions are drawn from that evidence by a process called reasoning. You can see here in this cartoon that a logical fallacy has been drawn. Another strategy for appealing to an audience would be to use emotional appeals. Using emotionally arousing verbal messages with concrete illustrations and descriptions and your own nonverbal messages help based on the fact that people are often governed by emotion when making decisions. There are 4 different ways to organize a persuasive speech. You could use the problem and solution strategy, the cause and effect method, simple refutation, or Monroe's motivated sequence. When you present to sell, it involves the use of some type of selling of an idea, a proposal, or a policy, and it does require leadership skills which can be learned. Some of the key strategy are analyzing the sales situation and planning persuasive sales messages using time-tested strategies such as finding the exact point of discomfort that will encourage the client to buy the product or idea. In crafting the sales message, it is important to follow a pattern. The steps involved include finding the hook and making the audience interested, identifying the issues in a way the audience can understand, making a recommendation, which is your general purpose of the speech, identifying and providing evidence of the benefits the audience will receive if they accept your recommendation, and finally, closing the sale and making a call to action. There is always a time and place for public speaking. Since many people are worried about public speaking, the wise leader will step up to the occasion and offer to give short speeches when he or she can. Preparing in advance will help reduce anxiety. The first kind of special speech might be introducing others. The purpose of an introduction is to arouse interest in a speaker and his or her topic, and to establish the speaker's credibility. You can help by introducing the speaker. The rules of such speeches are to be brief, to be accurate, and to recognize that it is not about you. Another type of special occasion speech could be presenting an award. It serves much of the same purposes of introducing a speaker. It is to establish the importance of the award and to establish the credibility or worthiness of the winner. The formula for the speech is simple. Refer to the occasion, talk about the history and significance of the award, and name the winner. You may be asked to accept an award. The formula for accepting an award are thanking the person who is giving the award, comment on the significance of this award in your life, and find meaning in the award for the audience in general. The rules for an acceptance speech are to be brief, to be insightful, and attempt to be inspiring. Be sure to include a heartfelt expression of thanks. Many of you are reaching the age where wedding toasts are very popular. You can volunteer to give a fantastic toast at a wedding, a business lunch, at the beginning or ending of social meetings with a client. The purpose of a toast is to enhance relationships, to celebrate an accomplishment, to remember a past event. The formula is again simple. Be brief and sincere. Do not become too personal, and let the audience and occasion determine what to say. Chapter 13, Informing, Persuading, and Making Special Occasion Speeches.